Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Wrestling with Power. I am Mr. Mosley, joined as always by the incomparable Slick Vic.
How's it going, Mr. Mosley?
Well, it's going well. It's going well. I hate to break the news, but I'm going to go ahead and break the news right at the top of the show. My toga didn't make it out of the dry cleaners today. I was going to come fully dressed, fully prepared, and unfortunately, so... But today we're going to be talking about WrestleMania IX, Slick Vic. WrestleMania IX. Today is our retro review, part of WrestleMania season here at Wrestling with Power. And we announced it on our Facebook a few days ago, that our retro review was coming back and we were picking one of the more divisive WrestleManias, you might say, in the history of... Well, we're coming up on 42 of them now, so it's been a long time. But WrestleMania 9, of course, 1993, Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'll be honest with you, when we picked this, I didn't even realize, this makes total sense. Because that WrestleMania was in Vegas, and this WrestleMania is going to be in Vegas. I'm like, all right, cool. This works. This works for me, brother. But we got that. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. We're getting started a little late here tonight. We're live on Facebook, so apologies for that. But whatever. We got a lot to talk about. SmackDown, Raw. We're gonna be throwing a little trivia Slick Vic's way. He just found out a few minutes ago. I surprised him with it. We're gonna be doing some WWE trivia once again from the old Ultimate World Wrestling Entertainment Trivia book, and we're going to be asking specifically questions about WrestleMania 9. I want to see how well Slick Vic paid attention in his most recent watch of that fine pay-per-view. And then, of course, like I've said, retro review, WrestleMania 9, and then, as of this morning, the WrestleMania 42 card is finalized. So we're going to be taking a look at that. And if you're following along live on Facebook, I got a cool-ass graphic that I made that I'm going to show you all. And I'll also have it on the YouTube episode whenever we upload that, because if you watched our last week's episode, I had one of those cool graphics. I managed to get it on our YouTube show as well, our video on YouTube. So that was cool. Learned something new. But Slick Vic, let's talk about some recent news. How about that?
What you got?
I don't know if this is breaking, but we'll play a little tune anyway, real quick. Because I like that music. Anyway, recent news. Jericho returned. Slick Vic, did you see the news this week? Chris Jericho finally returned to AEW.
I did hear the news. I did not see any footage. All I did know is that he came out in Winnipeg, and he said hi, and then he left, right?
He came out. This was on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night. I don't remember the date. It's been a couple of weeks ago now, I think. Well, no, it's been within the last week, obviously. But, it would have been the very next day after we recorded episode 34 last week. But, yeah, it's just random AEW Dynamite. Chris Jericho comes out at the end, and he says, Winnipeg, AEW, I'm home. And then he left.
Right. Exactly.
So this is big news because everybody thought, including you and I, and we've been talking about it for the last couple of months at least, Jericho had been gone from AEW for a while. We thought that he was coming back at the Rumble. That didn't happen. We thought he might be in the box. That was Danhausen. So then it's like, okay, maybe he'll show up at WrestleMania. Not going to happen. Because he is apparently back in AEW. What? There had to be some substance to him coming back to the WWE for it to be that big of news. It couldn't have just been a rumor that people were like, "Oh, this is what he's probably going to do." Um, I think there was obviously some talk between them that just didn't happen. That's my theory, anyway. I mean, what the hell happened here, Slick Vic? Why would Chris Jericho at his age, when he could come back, make big money, get a huge pop coming back to the WWE, have a retirement tour, instead he goes to AEW where people are... I mean, he got a pop when he came out that night, but let's be honest, when he was last seen in AEW, people were booing him out of the building. They were telling him to please retire. This pop that he's getting in AEW, in my opinion, it's not going to last. It's not gonna be long before they just don't want to see him over there. Those fans have seen enough of him. Whereas it would have been big news if he came back to the WWE, and there would have been plenty of money for him there. What happened?
Well, the way I see it, what I've read online, is Jericho has his hand in a lot of things right now. He's got his band, he's got a cruise that he does every year, he's got other investments, he's got a podcast. I think he's going to lose some of those things if he comes back to WWE. And most importantly, I don't think he's ready to retire. I don't think he wants to go on a retirement tour, like one final run with WWE just yet.
So you think that he went back to AEW because the conversation with WWE would have been, all right, you come back, we give you a retirement year, whatever, we put you in the Hall of Fame, and he just wasn't feeling that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he probably didn't want to get the shit beat out of him by Gunther, too.
Yeah.
And I mean, seriously, like, because that's probably what I wouldn't. It wouldn't be a stretch to imagine that was on the table. Like, we'll let Gunther beat you and retire you like he's retired everybody else. And yeah, he probably didn't want to do that. I could see that if the creative fell through. But I don't know, just kind of surprising that he made that decision, because you know, I saw him when he came back on AEW TV. I saw the whole segment. He looked great. He's in really good shape right now. But he's still old. You know, his best years are behind him. He, like you said, he's got a lot of projects going on. Why not just give it one more year right off into the sunset?
I guess he can still do all those projects after, like, say, 1 year in WWE, but I don't think he wants to have the whole pomp and circumstance of retirement just yet. I think he's firmly in the sense that, like, I'm still going. I can still go. Kind of like, you know, like the Rolling Stones, for example. They're still going. Iron Maiden are still going. Judas Priest are still going. These are, you know, bands that have been around since the 80s, some of them in the 70s, and in the case of the Rolling Stones, the 60s. And they're still going.
Yeah.
So I don't think he wants to just have a retirement tour and ride off in the sunset, do the convention circuit until he's done. I think he still sees himself as having many more years to go.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't think that it's been revealed what type of agreement he's come out with AEW. I'm pretty sure his previous contract ran up, so obviously he's had to sign a new one. But no word yet on how long that contract is or any of the other details, as far as I know, as of right now, anyway. So I'll have to see. We'll have to see where it goes, Slick Vic. But no Jericho in WWE. We can put that one to bed. In other news, Alberto del Rio is still beating women. He got thrown in jail for apparently domestic abuse against his wife, whoever his wife is now. And we knew that there were some problems back in the day with Paige when he was dating Paige that she had said. And that's been years and years and years ago. So, you know, what the hell, Alberto? What's your problem, dude? I've sang this guy's praises a few times in the past because at least as far as a wrestler goes and being in the ring, I was really kind of a fan of his whenever WWE sucked. And it really sucked. You know, it was a struggle to get through week to week. I remember when Alberto came back, and he was entertaining. He had that top rope stomp move that you hate. But other than that, he was pretty entertaining, and I thought he would make a great heel and a great heel world champion. Kind of similar to Jinder Mahal. I was a big fan when Jinder won the belt. But most people were kind of shitting on that too, but I can't be a fan of Alberto Del Rio after this. I think this may have sealed the deal for him. How do you come back from this, man? Do you come back from this? I don't think so.
Maybe not in America. I think
Yeah.
in Mexico he can probably still work. I know there's a lot of people that have had brushes with the law, or they've just done some unsavory things that results in them no longer wanting to be booked or no longer being able to get booked in America. But I think certain places like overseas or even in just our friends down south, they'll still hire him.
But then you got to wonder, where does he go? Because WWE owns AAA, which is like one of the biggest promotions in Mexico, and AEW is buddy with CMLL right now.
Right.
So, where would he go in Mexico?
I guess the Independents.
Yeah.
Los Independentos. I don't know how to say it.
It's unfortunate. I don't know what the guy's problem is, but no bueno, yeah. Alberto, no bueno.
No bueno. No bueno.
So, unfortunately, that's all the news I got. Not all of it was very great, but that's all of the breaking news this week here on Wrestling with Power. Why don't we jump into the weekly SmackDown review with Slick Vic over here.
All right. SmackDown, the 3rd of April, from St. Louis, Missouri. We start with St. Louis's own Randy Orton, who comes out and he says, "So, what do you want to talk about?" Randy talks briefly about St. Louis a bit, and then he says he's going to win WrestleMania for himself and his family, who I believe who's sitting in the front row. He does the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the front. And then Cody Rhodes
is going to kids as I do.
And then it says Cody Rhodes is going to go home empty-handed for a large pop. As you'd expect, they're in St. Louis. I think he even tries to heel on them briefly, but it doesn't work. And then he says Stephanie McMahon was right about what she said. Cody then comes out, and they start fighting. Cody gets the upper hand, and then the big reveal of who Randy Orton was talking to on the phone. We finally get the big reveal, and it's Pat McAfee. Complete with a giant belt buckle and sunglasses. It's Pat McAfee. What does he do? He kicks Cody in the balls, which, poor Cody, he's been kicked in the balls by how many people now?
Yeah, a lot.
I hope those, yeah. Anyways, he kicks Cody in the balls. Randy beats him up. And I feel like, what's it called? Yeah, I mentioned Cody getting hit in the balls. Did I mention Cody gets hit in the balls a lot?
He got hit in the balls, yeah. He got his balls punted from about the 40-yard line.
Pat grabs a mic and starts the show. He says the show is absolute shit.
Yeah.
That's a direct quote. He buries the whole era and praises the Attitude Era. He buries the fact that he has to watch a bunch of short wrestlers. I think he's at 5'5" wrestlers when Randy Orton is around, and then wonders why WrestleMania is still or isn't sold out yet when Randy Orton's around. I'm like, didn't that kind of bury Randy there? The business that Cody runs is terrible, and Randy's going to save the fucking business. That's another direct quote. What the fuck was this, Mosley? What the fuck? You go ahead.
I mean, this was great. I loved it. I thought it was a great.
You did.
I did. I loved it. okay, I don't love the fact that who he was talking to is Pat McAfee, and who knows why that came about. I've heard rumors about TKO getting involved and deciding that's who he needed to be. Whatever.
That's what I heard.
At the end of the day, everything leading up to this pointed in the direction of somebody that was going to be very close to Randy Orton. Pat McAfee is not somebody who's very close to Randy Orton. He's not a family member. He's not any of that. But the promo he cut was excellent because it was candid. It was real. It was speaking for a lot of people who are very frustrated over certain things, like creative, like ticket prices. You know, he wasn't out there lying. What was he lying about?
He didn't say anything about ticket prices. That's coming up later on Raw because I think CM Punk
tickets. Tickets being sold to WrestleMania. WrestleMania still having tickets when traditionally, and back in the day, WrestleMania would sell out in a couple of days.
Yeah.
But now we're weeks and weeks and weeks along. We're literally less than 2 weeks away from the event. They still haven't sold all the tickets. So he's got a point. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's all a big, smoke screen to just kind of raise hype for this match. And where is this the rest of the year? And when have they ever done anything, or will they do anything about this? Will creative change? Will ticket sales improve? I don't think that anything is going to change necessarily, but I think that the promo that he cut was speaking for a lot of different people and how they feel about WWE these days. And it was good. I liked it.
I wasn't the biggest fan. It reminded me of late WCW worked shoot promos where they were like, oh, Goldberg isn't following the script. He wasn't supposed to do that. CM Punk, we'll get to this when we cover Raw. CM Punk cut the much better worked shoot promo.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they leave in Pat McAfee's Dodge Ram, which, by the way, is a sponsor of SmackDown. Their logo is right in the middle of the ring.
Oh, okay.
Great product placement. Yeah. Okay. That was a very heavy segment. Let's move on to something else here. We got Rhea Ripley versus Michin.
Woo.
Rhea really channeled her inner Razor Ramon, who we're going to talk about later today as well.
Yes.
With a fall away slam and a Razor's Edge, which unfortunately wasn't the best looking Razor's Edge. Michin gets a lot of offense here too, with suplexes, a poison Rana, and eat the feet. And then Rhea. Well, I was wrong. Jade. Let me
rewind.
Rewind. Yeah, match is okay. I lost my place there. I lost my spot in my notes. Anyways, yeah,
it happens. We're live, pal.
It's nice to see Michin treated a little more seriously here, but I feel like Rhea should have kind of ran her over because she's about to face Jade, and Jade's kind of been built up as this final boss, for the lack of a better term. But yeah, I mean, it was a decent match. It's not so decent match. Whatever, it's okay. Post-match, EO comes in to save Jade from the beatdown by the other three girls.
Mm-hmm.
Backstage, Aleister Black and Zelina taunt Matt Cardona, and Matt Cardona suggests they have a match. Solo Sikoa says Uncle Howdy is not getting the lantern back and wants someone from the MFT to step up and fight Howdy. Tama Tonga's like, why are we fighting over this lantern, man? Why?
He's the only voice of reason here. It's Tama Tonga, Titty Tiaki, whatever his name is.
And then Sola says, you should fight him. Thomas says, yeah, he'll do it, but he'll do it alone. All right, so any thoughts on Rhea Ripley, Michin, Aleister Black, and Matt Cardona and the MFTs?
I mean, like the MFTs, like I said, Tama is the voice of reason here. Tama, right? It was Tama.
Yep.
Tama. I can't keep it. Why do they have these names? Get different friggin' names. Anyway, the Michin and Rhea match, I feel you to an extent, but I also kind of understood it. this is Jade's cronies. They don't want them to look weak, because obviously they're going to be following her around and probably there at Mania. So they have to seem like somewhat of a threat.
I did neglect to say that Rhea won with the Prism Trap, I believe it's called. The finish, that submission finish that she uses versus the Riptide.
Yeah.
We don't see her win with that move too often anymore. Okay. Rhea and Io are also backstage and saying they're still friends and have each other's back. Tama Tonga versus Uncle Howdy. First of all, Uncle Howdy has the Jabroni entrance where he's already in the ring when they come back from the last segment.
The Jabroni entrance.
Is this how we're treating Uncle Howdy? Or he's got the Jabroni entrance.
Come on, well,
they have a great entrance.
Yeah.
Anyways, this was a nothing match. Just back and forth with strikes for a few minutes until Solo comes and tries to hit Howdy with the lantern and ends up distracting Tama, and then Tama eats his sister Abigail for the loss. But the big story is post-match, Tama takes the lantern from Solo and he gives it back to Uncle Howdy. All right, so Kit Wilson and The Miz are backstage. They bump into R-Truth, who says that he can't join the judgment. They can't join the Judgment Day, and then a tag team match is somehow made up between the two of them. All right. There's a video package with Jacob Fatu talking about how his criminal past and how he's going to come for Drew McIntyre. So, yeah, that's a lot of little things there. We just talked about Tama a second ago. Well, here he was here with the match. Any thoughts on him and tag teams?
Well, to tie back, not really anything with the tag teams, but to tie back in with what you were saying earlier about Uncle Howdy getting the Jabroni entrance, he got the Jabroni treatment all the way around here, I think, because I did like that Tama was finally taking the lantern from Solo and saying, it's messing with your head. You don't need it. And that's why he took it and gave it back. But this has been going on for weeks. They've had the lantern, they've been fighting over the lantern, and now they just gave it back to him. And I felt like this was working up to a WrestleMania match feud over the thing. Like, let them have the match at Mania to get the lantern back. Or maybe to even do this spot at Mania, but they killed it on SmackDown. Just under 2 weeks away from it. I feel like they crapped on this whole storyline by doing that. That's my thoughts.
Okay. There's still time for, the SmackDown before. Do some kind of a big blow-off event, I guess. What would be the big blow? What would be the big blow-off here? Just another 5-on-5 for the lantern?
I don't think so. I think it's done. I think that this went from the lantern being the focal point to dissension in the MFTs being the focal point. Right. Dissension with Tama breaking away from the MFTs, going against Solo. Something's going to happen with the MFTs now. I think the lantern thing's done.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, how would you have booked the blow off? Would you have had? Would you have had him?
Yeah, I would have had it. I would have had a 5-on-5 or whatever, just a massive match at WrestleMania. Maybe a ladder match where the lantern's hanging in the sky. Something to let the Wyatts finally get it back in some better fashion than them just handing it over and saying, "Okay, we're done." It was a lot of build for nothing.
You remember how in Legend of Zelda, there's like those segments where you're walking around with the lantern and you just see like a little bit of light around Link while he's walking around?
Yeah.
They should have that ladder match where they have the lantern hanging up there and like the rest of the ring is dark, but you just see like the little bit of light from the lantern. And
that would be cool. Yeah. See, that would have been cool. That would have been a cool visual and a cool thing to do. Maybe not a long match, maybe like a 5-6 minute deal where they're just all trying to beat the shit out of each other and get up there and get it. But and then maybe Danhausen crawls down from the ceiling and grabs it and runs off. You never know. They could have did anything with this, but they just killed it, and it was disheartening a little bit for me.
Okay, so we have a match now. Aleister Black versus Matt Cardona. So Matt still has his arm wrapped up, which he's favoring. Aleister, of course, goes after it. But not much to say here. Matt tries to fight from underneath, hits a few moves, but Aleister eventually hits the Black Mass for the win. Basic run-of-the-mill match. Moving along. Backstage, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria say they're going to beat Charlotte and Alexa tonight, and their win is going to get Bayley back into WrestleMania after being left out last year. Bayley did kind of get the shaft last year, but, you know, shit happens, pal. Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, they tell R-Truth that tomorrow Johnny Wrestling is back in NXT. And they leave, and then Damian Priest comes in and asks Truth why The Miz and Kit Wilson. And Truth says it's because Asuka cursed them. Okay, I thought that I got a little chuckle out of me. I will say that too. It seems to have worked for you too.
Yeah, it was good.
All right. Anything you want to add on Aleister and Matt? Nope.
No.
Nope. Okay.
Nah.
All right. So we got a Drew McIntyre video package where he hates on Jacob's criminal past and says that he's going to show the world who the real Jacob Fatu is. All right. So then we got a tag team match between Charlotte and Alexa versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Lyra spends the first portion of the match selling for their team until she makes the hot tag for Bayley. You know, I've said how being predictable isn't bad if it's executed well.
Yeah.
I think we all knew that the irresistible forces were going to interfere at the end, but this just feels like filler. That's all it is. It's just filler. Every week they're going to have a different combination of those four women wrestle.
Yeah. Yeah.
For no stakes until WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So and it's just filler.
It just goes to show you that it really makes you feel like, and this among other things, that the WrestleMania card was not set in. There's no way that the WrestleMania card was set in stone a month ago. Like, it had to be pieced together, and then once they kind of figured out what they were going to do, they're like, all right, this is what we're doing. And then, but we still got 2 or 3, 4 weeks left. What are we going to do? And that's the period of time that we're in now, unfortunately. And we'll see more of that on Raw.
Backstage, Danhausen shows up and he says he wants to accompany The Miz and Kit Wilson to the ring, and then they'll be uncursed. But Miz isn't having it. Kit calls Danhausen toxic. Miz tries to insult Danhausen as well, but poof, he's gone. So they're still cursed. And then we got our tag team title match. Damian Priest and R-Truth versus The Miz and Kit Wilson. All I have to say is Danhausen shows up in the match, and he shows up and he marches to the ring like a demented Obafemi, according to Wade Barrett. And Danhausen gets on the apron and tries to get The Miz to tag him in. Miz tells the ref to eject him. Instead, R-Truth tags Danhausen into a large pop. The Miz gets into Danhausen's face. Danhausen winds up to curse The Miz, but The Miz pulls the ref between them, and the ref gets cursed. The lights go out, Danhausen's gone. And The Miz hits the skull-crushing finale on the Truth. The ref counts 1, 2, and then he holds his hand while he yells in pain, his right hand. Because then when Priest comes in, he gives The Miz a choke slam, and the ref counts with his left hand, and they get the 3 count on the win. Now this was fun. I'll give it that. It's ha ha, and that's all it was. It got a laugh out of me.
Yeah. It was silly. It was silliness, but I liked it. And I was like, when the ref started selling his arm, like his arm is all of a sudden like numb or in pain or something, and he can't count to 3. It's like, oh, come on. But I want to know what happens next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if you remember our retro review of Halloween Havoc 96.
Of course. Yeah.
The main event was Hogan and Macho Man, Hollywood Hogan versus Macho Man, where Nick Patrick's got the neck brace on. He comes in he runs
crooked
in the
referee,
count. Yeah. He goes 1, 2, and then he just grabs his neck and he just stops counting.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Post-match, Cody Rhodes comes in. He hits the crossroads on Kit and then grabs a mic. He says, Pat McAfee being the guy on the phone is like if Disco Inferno was the third man in the NWO instead of Hulk Hogan. See, even Cody Rhodes is burying this whole freaking the Pat McAfee reveal.
Yep.
So
I can't disagree with that. Yeah, I can't disagree. It was very anticlimactic.
And Cody says Pat and everyone that represents him can kiss his ass. Cody says that they can fire him if they want to. It worked out great last time. Cody talks about his previous WrestleManias and how they broke records. It's not just because he worked with names like Roman Reigns, John Cena, The Rock, but also because they worked with him. And him and Randy have a lot of history. And the voices are talking to Cody too, but you don't want to hear what they have to say. Now, Cody was right about this. You have 20 years of rich history from Cody and Randy Orton that you could just that's all you need to build this feud around, this WrestleMania feud. But we got Pat McAfee here now kicking Cody in the balls and talking about how the show sucks too.
and there's a bit of truth and points to both sides of that, because they could have built this match easily off of the 20-year history. They could have shown flashbacks to years gone by of Cody and Randy interacting and being involved in different situations and things, but they haven't really done much of that. It's just like turn Cody heel or turn Randy heel, have him beat the shit out of Cody, throw Pat McAfee in there for some reason. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, at least maybe the crowd might boo Pat McAfee because they're not booing Orton.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so main event time as Sami Zayn defends the U.S. title against Carmelo Hayes. Also, Trick Williams and Little Yachty are here as well. Okay, so I've kind of kept my reviews short, but it's what do you want me to say? These two have wrestled each other I've covered these two wrestling each other a dozen times in the past, I think. Yeah. They have decent chemistry. This match is okay. The only thing notable here is Sami getting booed. And to add to that, Sami hits the haluva kick while Mello is being checked on by the ref to get the win. So he's winning using heelish tactics.
Yep.
And then post-match, Trick Williams beats up Sami Zayn. Any thoughts on the main event?
I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, this main event is something we've seen in the middle of the show several other times in several different varieties, so it's okay.
All right.
Just okay.
Thus concludes the SmackDown from April 3rd in St. Louis, Missouri. Mr. Mosley, how shall we proceed? Shall we move on to Raw, or do you need a pause? Or
I'm good to move on if you want to move on.
Let's do it, man. Tell me all about Monday Night Raw.
I'll tell you as much as I possibly can. We're going to start with, this was in Houston, Texas, and it was on April the 6th of 2026. Just a mere 24 hours ago, in fact. The show opened up with a CM Punk promo. So they're introducing people like they normally do, where we see them walk in, arrive at the arena in the back, and Michael Cole's saying something about, we'll hear from Punk later tonight, but wait, he's actually heading out here. So CM Punk heads to the ring like a man on a mission. He tosses the world title in the ring, grabs a mic before entering the ring himself, and he sits down in the middle to cut a fairly candid pipe bomb promo. I did not note anything specific about this, so I'll try to remember a little bit about what he said. Well, he started out by sort of continuing to hype the match with Roman. Talking about the cousins, talking about not needing anybody and they need help, blah, blah, blah. Same stuff that we've heard. And then he goes on to, I just want to also say this is another one that you have to watch because it was great. It was a great promo, but I'm not going to do it justice by reiterating it here. But it was great. He was all over the place, man. He got out of the ring on the announce table. When he mentioned that Roman Reigns wasn't there, the crowd booed, and he's like, oh, you're going to boo me? You're going to boo me for telling you that Roman isn't here? I showed up. I'm an old man, and I'm here. And then they cheered. So it went back and forth. It was very interesting dynamic. Sometimes they would boo something, and then he would get them. He would bring them back. I mean, he was controlling that crowd like no other. In the end, well, let's not skip to the end just yet, because he also mentioned how he said Roman ate dog food for a weird old man. And then he called him like a buck-tooth something or other. I don't remember. There's all kinds of good shit in there. But he ended by talking about Pat McAfee. He brings up Pat McAfee and Pat's promo on SmackDown, which really pissed him off. And he told Pat that he has a receipt coming, and he told Pat that if he wants more tickets sold for WrestleMania, to get on the phone with the agent that shoehorned him into this show and tell him to lower the ticket prices. So that was great. That combined with the Pat thing, like I said earlier, it's a lot of realism being introduced in here, and I like it because there's, both of these guys, they're saying stuff that a lot of fans have been saying for a while now, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it immensely. It was a great, great promo from CM Punk, in which his promos are always great, but this one was top tier. Really was top tier. Really felt like a pop bomb, like something that was very candid, that we haven't seen in a long time. And it was awesome. What'd you think about it, Slick Vic?
Great stuff. Great stuff as always for Punk. I believe the YouTube video on the WWE channel even calls it a pipe bomb promo as well. But, everything you said, I agree. I love the line. I love the digs at Pat McAfee. I love the digs at Roman Reigns. There was a line he said where he was talking about how, he started the show talking about the history of Houston wrestling, which I thought was a nice little touch.
Yeah, yep. The old timers. He was saying how the old time. He said, in a roundabout way, he said, never miss an opportunity to hear stories about the old timers. Yeah.
One of my favorite lines he said too was being hated for losing, or being hated for being a loser is the price I pay for not being one of them, or something like that. I probably botched that line now, but yeah.
No, you got it. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my thoughts, man. Good stuff. Go out of your way and watch it if you haven't seen it.
Very cool promo. Great way to heat up the show and open it up. From that, we get a match. This is Austin Theory with Logan Paul and IShowSpeed versus LA Knight. And I started back from the break where LA Knight had the advantage. He hit a nice neck breaker on Austin Theory. Gets a 2 count. Theory fired back for a bit. Hits a blockbuster. Only gets 2 count himself. Knight clotheslines Theory over the top rope to the ringside area and starts bouncing his head off the announce desk right in front of Logan Paul and IShowSpeed. Then he rolls Austin Theory back in the ring, and as he's getting back in the ring himself, Logan Paul shoves IShowSpeed into LA Knight, which knocks him off the apron. Knight starts chasing Speed. Speed runs up the ramp, and we hear the Usos music hit. So Jimmy and Jey Uso come out on the stage, and Speed turns around and runs back the other way, which is, LA Knight standing there, but he jumps like 10 feet in the air over top of LA Knight's head. He makes it about halfway across the ring, running away from LA Knight when he gets caught, and then the Usos are in the ring, Knight's in there, they're about to beat the shit out of IShowSpeed, you think, but Logan Paul pulls him out of the ring and saves him. Knight cuts a promo, so this match just ends. Like, there's no bell, there's no decision, there's nothing. I wrote no contest on my notes because it's like it went from being a match to being a segment with no kind of resolution, which I thought sucked. But it was cool because Knight grabs the mic at the end of it and he lays down a challenge for WrestleMania, 6-man tag team match between the Usos and LA Knight versus The Vision, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and IShowSpeed. And Adam Pearce comes out and makes it official. So, did you call that one, Slick Vic? You called that, didn't you?
The 6-man tag? I did.
We've called a lot of these, and we'll look at it here in just a little bit. at the end of the show, we're going to look at the card and we're going to look back at our predictions and see how well we got them right. But several of these matches we've called, and that's one of them. So good stuff. I don't know that I'm hyped to see this match, but cool. Another match on the WrestleMania card. After this, we get a replay of Orton, Cody, Pat McAfee segment from SmackDown, which we already talked about on our SmackDown review. So, Slick Vic, what did you think about this quote-unquote match between the Vision and, between Austin Theory and LA Knight?
LA Knight's great. He's entertaining as all hell. But this is just revolving around I Show Speed.
Yeah.
Were you familiar with I Show Speed before you started making WWE appearances?
I'd never heard his name before, other than my kids saying his name at one point. And so that he was a YouTuber, because, kids these days, their heroes are YouTubers. So I had mentioned him say his name before, but no, not before that. I've never watched any of his shit.
Damn. So I'm like, I remember last year Braun Breaker spearing him out of his boots. But this is the feud. This is what this feud is revolving around. Is I Show Speed's involuntary heel turn.
Yeah. I think it's weird that they have this guy on there, but at the same time, I can't say that he's not entertaining. He's not completely boring. He does pretty decent with his facials and his acting and stuff. He does pretty good. And I don't want to see him in a match, but I think he's been fairly entertaining for the position they put him in. And then there was a clip too. I didn't mention this. I don't remember when they played it, but he was apparently doing a YouTube video or a live stream or something, and LA Knight showed up at his house, kicked the door in and threw him into the computer monitor. That was awesome. So, we've got some decent little moments, and him looking confused and not sure whenever the Vision are taking him places because they're trying to protect him, and he gets roped into this thing, didn't mean to. It's okay. It's not terrible.
No, I agree with you. It's not terrible. I'm just kind of It's it's a celebrity match that I'm not too invested in.
Yeah. Speaking of celebrities, what happened to Jelly Roll? Was that it? He had his match on SmackDown, and then they're done with him?
Well, Randy Orton gave him an RKO. He's selling it.
Good point.
Those RKOs out of nowhere, man. They'll put you on the shelf for a while.
Yeah, he's definitely missing Mania, I think. But up next, another match, quote-unquote match, JD McDonough versus Finn Balor. It's supposed to be a match, but as Balor is walking down to the ring, Dirty Dom attacks him from behind. JD hops out of the ring to help, but ends up getting posted. And then Balor starts whipping Dom's ass. Dom hits Balor with the AAA title belt off a distraction from JD. Then Dom hits Balor over and over with a chair. So no match at all, just a beatdown on Finn Balor.
It's kind of disappointing. I wanted to see Finn and JD wrestle.
Yeah. I wanted to see some kind of match because we went from the no contest of the first match to this, and I'm like, man, this is going downhill quick. You get a hot opening with that CM Punk promo, and then you get these two shitters. It's like,
I have to correct you, Mosley. Austin won with a roll up with the hooking up the trunks.
Austin Theory won that one?
Yeah.
I put no contest. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention by that point in time. All right, so let's back up and rewind. Austin Theory was the winner of that match with a roll-up. All right, I stand corrected. Thank you, Slick Vic. Always the observant one. Up next. Well, if I could get my effing notes. Up next. We have a pre-recorded interview between AJ Lee and Michael Cole that lasts pretty much no time because Becky Lynch shows up and starts talking shit to Michael Cole, telling him he's the worst announcer of all time and all this stuff. And he's like, you know what, I don't need this. And he just gets up and leaves. So then we have Becky Lynch sitting there, and she's talking shit to AJ. AJ talks some shit back to her. There's some pretty tough shots fired here. She mentions, when she goes to sleep, when she tucks her daughter in and out, asked her who her favorite wrestler is. She's not going to say Becky Lynch. She's going to say AJ Lee. And AJ gets tore up and throws a chair, and yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Vic, what you got?
That's about it. Becky's fantastic. She's always great. Her shit talking is really good. But what they keep treating AJ like the underdog. And last I checked, she beat Becky clean. And she's still like the underdog in this feud? Does it feel that way to you?
It does. But Becky is I'm not so up to snuff on all of AJ Lee's accomplishments, but whatever they were, they happened at a time. I know she was the Divas Champion, whatever. She was one of the most popular gals during that period of time. But it happened during a period of time that people don't like to look back on. People don't generally like to think about the Divas era because there wasn't a whole lot good that came out of it, worth remembering. And whereas Becky Lynch has been this big trailblazer ever since she's come in to the main roster and been doing all this stuff, and the women's division has been blown to epic proportions. So, to me, she does seem like an underdog, AJ Lee, because she's not proven herself in this class of female wrestler just yet, even though she did beat Becky for that title. That's not going to overshadow all of Becky's accomplishments just yet.
At least have AJ tap into that psychotic behavior that she used to be known for.
She does need some more of that, yeah.
If Becky's going to dress her down, no pun intended, but if she's going to, talk shit, at least have AJ come back like fiery or scary. I should say more terrifying and, you get what I'm saying. Just
I feel you. Maybe we'll get that at WrestleMania. Maybe they're just saving it for the big day.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Up next, we have a match. This is Bayley with Lyra Valkyria versus Lash Legend with Nia Jax. And this was an okay match up until things broke down, as expected. You mentioned it about earlier on SmackDown, how the other gals from the big match get involved. Same stuff happens here, pretty much. Nia ends up tripping Bayley in the ring during the match, and then we see Flair and Bliss come down and take Jax out. Most of the match can be summed up by Lash using her size and power moveset against Bayley, who just continues to get flurries of offense here and there, while avoiding a lot of Lash's power moves. The NC's Lash go for a superplex, but Bayley turns it into a body press for the cover, with a little assistance from Lyra Valkyria holding Lash's foot down to keep her from kicking out as the ref counts 3. So your winner is Bayley. Maybe a little heel tactics there on Lyra's part. But, yeah.
It almost looked like she missed I think she was supposed to trip Lash before, like during a suplex that was going to happen in the corner. It looked like she missed, then she just decided, you know what, I'm going to reach forward and just hold her foot down.
Yeah, that could have been. I didn't even think of that, but yeah, good point. Up next, promo for the upcoming Netflix documentary, Hulk Hogan, Real American. Slick Vic, I can't wait for this one. I think it'll be incredible. It'd probably be something that I'll watch over and over and over. Hell, I've watched the Vince McMahon documentary they did on Netflix at least 3 times now, so I'm excited for this. What do you think?
I'll definitely watch it. I think it'll be interesting. I know it's going to cause a lot of controversy when it comes out because, Hulk is not known for telling the truth all the time. Although the interview makes it sound like, you want the truth, brother? I'll tell you the truth. Okay, sure. We'll see. What I love is that Bret Hart is in this documentary.
Yeah.
Bret's not going to say anything nice about Hogan, which is funny that they actually got him involved.
Maybe that's why, to have that sort of dynamic of somebody who isn't so enamored by Hogan.
They should have got Scott Steiner if they wanted somebody who didn't like Hogan.
Give me a fucking mic. All right, then we have an in-ring segment with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins heads to the ring. This time he doesn't come through the crowd. He actually comes down with his music. And the crowd singing his song. He grabs the mic, says he's been waiting 6 months to hear the crowd sing that song. Talks about going against Gunther in 2 weeks at WrestleMania. Rollins says he has no history or bad blood with Gunther, so the only thing he can figure out is that Gunther has some business dealings with Paul Heyman. He says he has 2 goals: getting his title back, the title he never lost, and killing the Vision. Gunther tries to sneak attack Rollins from behind, but Rollins counters it, and the two brawl out of the ring. We see a bunch of staff members and referees, etc., try to break up the fight. Gunther gets a cheap shot in with a big kick to Seth's face. And then backstage, Gunther runs into Paul Heyman. Heyman says he doesn't know why Gunther did what he did to Seth at Madison Square Garden, but he owes him a very big favor. Gunther shakes Paul's hand and tells him he owes him so much more than a very big favor. Interesting. So, Gunther didn't have a business dealing, but maybe he did this to get a business dealing with Paul Heyman. We'll have to see. Have to see what happens. What did you think of this, Slick Vic?
I liked it. I thought Seth cut a very fiery promo. He was entertaining. It was good stuff. I'm the only thing I'm a little torn about is the whole is Gunther like I don't want him to be Paul Heyman's lackey, and it did not come off that way at all. But I feel like Gunther is not doing this for favors. He's doing this because he's a pure wrestler. He's doing it for the honor of the sport and all the other stuff. But Here's what I'm thinking. This is kind of a Slick Vic prediction for several months from now. That favor that Gunther is owed, it's going to be Brock Lesnar.
Okay. Interesting.
I think Brock and Gunther might happen because of this whole Seth Rollins situation.
So he wants to retire Brock, and he's going to get it by way of Paul Heyman.
Yeah. He'll get to Brock through Paul Heyman.
That is a good prediction there, Slick Vic. I hadn't even thought of that, honestly. I kept trying to run it through in my head, like, what does Gunther want? Does he want to face Braun Breaker when he comes back? Does he want, I couldn't make sense of it. You just put it all into perspective for me, sir. Great prediction there, Slick Vic. We'll have to see what happens. Up next, 6-man tag team match. Penta, Javon Evans, and Dragon Lee versus El Grande Americano, Bravo, and Rayo. First of all, when I saw this, I was like, why are they putting the guys that are going to be kicking each other's ass in the ladder match for the Intercontinental title on a team here? It's just weird. But I don't know. I guess everybody's friends. Not a whole lot of notes for this one. There was a lot of people flying around. Everyone's bouncy. Lots of high-flying action. If you're into high-flying action and seeing people jump around and do crazy high-flying moves, then you would enjoy this. But the real meat and potatoes here, post-match, Rey Mysterio comes out. And I'm thinking, he's putting himself in this ladder match. This is the final piece to the puzzle. Honest to God, that's what went through my head. But then I'm like, nah, maybe he's just going to come out and maybe just hype the match or talk about the history of the IC title or, something like that. But my instincts were correct. He says he spoke to Adam Pearce, and he agrees that the IC title ladder match at WrestleMania is missing one thing, and that is Rey Mysterio. So Rey Mysterio is now added to the match, making it a 6-way ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 42. Slick Vic, your thoughts?
Well, I actually did not think Rey was going to be in this match, so good on you for seeing that happening. I thought he was just going to come out and pep talk Penta, say some nice things about Dragon Lee and Javon as well.
Yeah, that was my second thing. It was like, there's no way he's going to put him so. But when the music first hit, I was like, oh man, he's going to be in it. It's going to be awesome.
I'm happy Rey's there because Rey was not at WrestleMania last year, and I thought he wasn't going to be cleared for this WrestleMania. So this was a very nice surprise. The match itself, like you said, just it's a fun, fast-paced match. I had no problems with it. I love the Styles clash that Dragon Lee busted out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
has he adopted that move fully now? Because he's not winning with it. So
I don't know. Hey, maybe he'll do it off the ladder.
Oh my God!
I'm sure somebody's getting Mexican destroyed from the top of the ladder through some other furniture.
Yeah.
Cero miedo.
Yeah. Oh man, that's going to be a crazy match. I'm really excited about it. But as of Raw, we have another exciting match after this. If I may be sarcastic for just a moment. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus B-Fab and Michin with Jade Cargill in tow. So, not a lot here. But I felt like I needed to pay a little bit of attention. So, I caught up towards the end. Michin and B-Fab are double-teaming Io in the ring while the ref is distracted by Rhea. When the ref catches the double team going on, Jade pulls Rhea off the apron, which prevents a tag from Io. Michin goes for a move on Io, but she turns it into a roll-up pin for the win. So, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky win the match, but not the war, because post-match, Jade has her cronies hold back Rhea in the corner while she beats Io down with a kendo stick. Then she hits her with the Jaded, and that was it. My thoughts, Slick Vic, I don't know what the hell Jade was wearing. That looked like one of those neck pillows, but giant, and turned around the wrong way. But I did like the color coordination between her, Michin, and B-Fab. I thought they looked like a proper unit with the color coordination they had going on. Even if the faction will be short-lived, I thought that they did the right thing aesthetically here. No more thoughts really on this. Let's talk about the next segment, and then I'll get your thoughts, Slick Vic. Finn Balor pre-recorded segment. This is a good one, because we called this one too. Finn tells the Judgment Day that was a hell of a beating, but says there's a side of him that Dom doesn't know, a side that he buried a long time ago and he thought was gone forever, but that it's back, and he will find out at WrestleMania. Camera zooms in on Finn's face as the demon face starts to show through. So, Demon Balor confirmed for Mania. Once again, we called it. Slick Vic, your thoughts on the tag match between the gals and the Finn Balor segment, confirming that the Demon's coming back.
Well, I'm glad that, I don't know if you remember the match from last week, I'm glad Io didn't land on her head when she dove through the ropes this time. Cause
yeah, I remember that,
I
the
thought
outside.
She died.
Yeah,
I'm so glad she didn't fall that time, but I thought the ending of this match was just so abrupt. And the other thing I have is see SmackDown review. It's basically just filler. Yeah. But I will say this: I did really like the post match stuff where Michin and B-Fab have got Jade tied up, and Jade's like, they got Rhea Ripley tied up, and Rhea's like, "Come on, hit me, give me your best shot." Instead, Jade goes after Io Sky, which sets off Rhea. I thought that was good storytelling there. That was fun stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody did really well, and Jade came off as a bitch, super bitch.
And of course, I'm elated, ecstatic. That Demon Balor's coming back. I'm like, you got any more adjectives? Look at the adjective.
Play.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy we're gonna get Demon Balor at WrestleMania, which makes my prediction a little easier.
There you go. We'll find out about those predictions next week, folks. Yes. So make sure you tune in, because Slick Vic's picks coming back next week. We got the full card, so now we can really dig in and figure out what's in that head of Slick Vic's. And what's in the head of the crystal ball over there.
It's been a while since the crystal ball was put into play here, wasn't it? Hasn't it?
Yeah, it suffered a couple of defeats. It had to recharge. I feel like it's recharged to max potential now, and I'm excited. I'm pumped for Slick Vic's picks next week. I may even have some picks of my own. Please do. I'm going to have to find a crystal ball between now and then. All I have is this Easter egg. That's not saying anything to me. But let's finish off Monday Night Raw. It ended with the contract signing between Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. So we start with Adam Pearce and Triple H that come out to the ring to announce the contract signing and are interrupted by Paul Heyman, who comes out and introduces Brock Lesnar. Lesnar comes out, gets a huge pop, but the crowd is heavily chanting Oba, Oba, Oba over and over when he gets into the ring. Adam Pearce introduces Obafemi, who marches down to the ring, or dances down to the ring, or struts down to the ring, or whatever that thing he does. Before Oba can get through the ropes, Lesnar jumps him, and the fight is on. The two end up going through the table that is set up in the ring, and they start launching chairs at each other as the staff attempts to keep them apart. Then the show just ends. No contract is signed. Nothing. It just kind of ended. Went fade to black. Thought that was weird. I thought it was weird when they first started this segment, the credits were rolling. So
yes.
I guess they were, they didn't have time to do whatever they wanted to do here. Maybe a couple of things ran long or whatever. But that was it. That was Monday Night Raw. Slick Vic?
I mean, that's there is nothing much to say. They came to the ring, they fought, and no contract was signed. But I doubt that matters because it's all over all the advertisements that they're gonna have a match. By the way, did you see yesterday? I mean, during Raw, Stephanie Vicaire jumped Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. This morning, they showed pictures of both of them. They both had giant goose eggs on their forehead.
Yeah, big ass pop knot. Yeah. Big ass pop knot. Yeah.
And I remember watching that segment, and I'm like, "Ooh, that looked pretty stiff." And the next day, sure enough, they both
was stiff.
Giant
big
bumps on their
Easter
forehead.
egg on the head. Yeah, it was rough. It looked rough. I seen that earlier actually. But that was it. That was Monday Night Raw. Big throwdown fight between Oba and Brock to end the show. Decent Raw, decent show, decent SmackDown. Everything's decent, but here in a moment we're going to turn the clocks back when we take a look back at WrestleMania IX at Caesar's Palace back in 1993. Got a special little segment before we actually do that retro review, and we'll announce it after this commercial break. Let's take a pause for the cause, and we'll be back in just a few moments. All right, everybody, we're back from that pause for the cause. And I mentioned this at the top of the show, but we have a special segment right here. Slick Vic's over there Googling all the answers. I can already see it in his eyes. You got lust in your eyes. No. He is about to go back in the hot seat. We've did this for the last few weeks. It's a good time. It's a fun time. It's WWE Trivia with the ultimate World Wrestling Entertainment Trivia book. Written and published in 2002, so you know it's good. But they have all kinds of different sections. If you've not caught this before, they have all kinds of different sections. And the WrestleMania section separates it into individual WrestleManias. So we have the luxury of having specific questions for WrestleMania 9 here, which we're going to be doing a retro review of here in just a few moments. But before that, we're putting him in the hot seat. We're going to see, because both me and Vic watched WrestleMania 9 to do the retro review here recently, and we're going to see if he paid close enough attention. So we got about 13, 14 questions here, and while we get ready for that, let's play some trivia music. Shit's kind of loud.
No way.
No way. No way. No way. All right, Slick Vic. Here we are with WrestleMania 9. Are you ready?
Fire it up. Give it to me.
I know you weren't prepared for this beforehand, but you got to do it anyway. Number 1. What former WWE champion did Razor Ramon defeat at WrestleMania 9?
Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund. He's going to say B, Bob Backlund, without even hearing the rest of the choices, and I know that's right because I, too, watched it. So, Slick Vic gets the first one right. Good job. Very attentive of you. Number 2. Tatanka won a match over Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 9. What title was at stake?
The Intercontinental title.
Ah, good job, Slick Vic.
Do you want me to wait for the multiple choice?
No, you don't have
choices?
To.
Okay.
No. If you know it, just go ahead. Number 3. The Steiner brothers competed at WrestleMania 9. What are the Steiner brothers' names?
Rick and Scott.
Rick and Scott. Good job, Slick Vic. That's correct. This one's cool. WrestleMania 9 was held at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, and the night had a Roman flavor. What was ring announcer Howard Finkel's Roman name?
Fincus Maximus?
Fincus Maximus. Good job. I thought you were going to miss that one. You had to think about that for just a split second, Slick Vic. I seen it in your eyes. How many times did the World Championship change hands at WrestleMania 9?
Twice.
Slick Vic says twice. Spoiler alert. Next question. What announcer made his debut with the company at WrestleMania 9?
Jim Ross.
Good job, Slick Vic. We are rolling through these. Next, Head Shrinker Fatu teamed with brother Samu at WrestleMania 9. What name is Fatu better known by?
Rikishi.
Rikishi. I actually have to check because I don't know the difference between the two. I know he is one of them, but I have to double check your work on that, Slick Vic. But it looks like you were correct once again. Rikishi. The choices: A, The Rock, B, Alpha the Wild Samoan, C, Rikishi, and D, Shrinky Dinky Finky.
Well, Alpha was their manager.
Yeah. I like that D, though. Let's see.
Dinky, whatever.
Shrinky Dinky Finky. All right, next question. What was unique about WrestleMania 9? A, it was the first WrestleMania held outdoors. B, it was Hulk Hogan's final WrestleMania appearance. C, Bret Hart denounced Canada during the event. Or D, Bobby Heenan cheered for Hulk Hogan on commentary. Let's see.
Shit. Well, it's not the first one outdoors. What were the other choices again?
Let's see. All right. A, it was the first WrestleMania held outdoors. B, it was Hulk Hogan's final WrestleMania appearance. C, Bret Hart denounced Canada during the event. I love that. Or D, Bobby Heenan cheered for Hulk Hogan on commentary.
God, is it really D? I'm going to go with D.
D, Bobby Heenan cheered for Hulk Hogan on commentary. Well, you know, Hulk Hogan was rather heelish that night. Let's see what the answer is, though. I'll have to double check for accuracy. And Slick Vic,
fucking bullshit!
You missed that one.
Because it wasn't, WrestleMania 8 was outdoors. Bret didn't denounce Canada. And the other choice was, I guess it's B then. What's B? What was B again?
WrestleMania 8 was not outdoors.
It wasn't? It's probably
No.
the Hoosier Dome? The Hoosier Dome is not considered outdoors?
Well, the Silver Dome was a dome as well, but it was covered.
Okay. All right. I'm so used to,
Questionable.
if I see sunlight, I'm thinking it's outdoors.
We'll have to check that for accuracy, but the answer was it was the first WrestleMania held outdoors. That's what the book says. So we're gonna have to go with what the book says on this one, Slick Vic. Next question: Crush lost to Doink at WrestleMania IX. Where was Crush from?
Kona.
What?
Kona, Hawaii.
Kona, Hawaii. That sounds right to me. And it sounds right to the book as well. So you got that one. I accidentally highlighted the one you missed. Oh well. Next question. Tag Team Champions Money Inc. retained the tag team titles at WrestleMania IX. Who were the members of Money Inc.?
The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Erwin R. Shyster, IRS.
All right, good job, Slick Vic. You got that one. That was choice C. Choice A on that question was Richie Rich and Mr. Moneybags. Next question. What was Lex Luger's nickname at WrestleMania IX?
The name that Mr. Perfect couldn't pronounce, which was the Narcissist.
The Narcissist Lex Luger. Next question. Which manager seconded Giant Gonzalez during his match with The Undertaker?
Harvey Whippleman.
All right. Good job, Slick Vic, on that one as well. We only got 2 questions to go. This special guest gave Howard Finkel a special hairpiece at WrestleMania IX. A. Terry Savalas, B. Cy Sperling, C. Frank Sinatra, or D. Vince McMahon?
It's got to be Cy Sperling.
You would think, but I have no idea. The answer to that question is B. Cy Sperling. I didn't know that.
I watched so much TV back then. I'm so embarrassed to know the answer to that.
I would have missed that big time. I didn't know. The very last question for WrestleMania IX here. This man was the special guest referee for Bret Hart's WrestleMania IX against Yokozuna. Special guest referee. A. Mr. Perfect, B. Mr. Fuji, C. Jim Cornette, or D. Roddy Piper?
Wait, for WrestleMania 9, there was a special referee for the main event?
Hey, that's the question. You got to answer it.
Well, give me the question. Give me the choices again. I call shenanigans for this one. Are you sure this is WrestleMania? Not WrestleMania? Are you sure this is WrestleMania 10?
All right. So here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. There was no special guest referee for that match. I think this is a mistake in the book, and we will correct it right here on Wrestling with Power. But the question says, this man was the special guest referee for Bret Hart's WrestleMania 9 match against Yokozuna. Mr. Perfect, Mr. Fuji, Jim Cornette, or Roddy Piper?
I'm going to say Roddy Piper because that was the guest referee for WrestleMania 10.
That is correct, Slick Vic. You got that one right. And like we said, that is a big error with the Ultimate Trivia book. Not so ultimate now.
They're about as ultimate as the Warrior.
Who's the special guest? So there was a question in here. Let me see. On the WrestleMania 10 section, who was the special guest referee for the Yokozuna versus Lex Luger match at WrestleMania 10?
Mr. Perfect.
That was Mr. Perfect. Well, who was Roddy Piper the special guest referee for at 10 then?
It was Bret and Yoko. Not Luger and Yoko. It was Bret and Yoko.
Yokozuna had 2 matches at WrestleMania 10?
Yeah. So did Bret.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess that goes to show I don't know WrestleMania 10 that well. Anyway, we'll have to mark that one out because that is BS. Slick Vic, you only missed 1 question out of all of those questions. The Ultimate World Wrestling Entertainment Trivia book having its legitimacy called into question here. Good job, Slick Vic. That was fun. But you know what's even more fun is actually watching WrestleMania 9. Well, to some people. And we did. So we're going to talk about it. This is our WrestleMania 9 Retro review, ladies and gentlemen. The one y'all been waiting for so long. And if I can just pop over to my text notes here. WrestleMania 9 was sometime in 1993. What was the date of that, Slick Vic?
Well, I can tell you in about a few seconds.
I'll tell you about
WrestleMania 9.
April 4th.
Okay.
WrestleMania 9 took place on April 4th, 1993. It was at the Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. Some places you'll look at online and it'll say like Paradise, Nevada or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matters. Las Vegas, though. There it was. You could see Caesars Palace in the background. They built this stage in a parking lot. So they had the ring. They had the big awning that went over the ring. They had the seats, the bleachers there. And everything was Roman themed. They tried to make it look like the Roman Coliseum, kind of. Everything was Roman themed. Everybody was wearing togas. It was subtitled was it the biggest toga party in the world, or the largest toga party in the world?
I think that's what Gorilla Monsoon called it too.
Yeah, so it was, but it was, if you look at, it wasn't necessarily that they didn't have a lot of people there. They just didn't have a lot of seats to have a lot of people. It looked like a packed crowd. A little over 16,000 people for WrestleMania 9. What you got there, Slick Vic?
I just got a few notes there.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought you had something. But this was a different one. There's some people that absolutely hate this WrestleMania. I don't know anybody that absolutely loves this WrestleMania. It was different. But one of the coolest things about it is that it was a break. It was like a clean break from the Golden Era. If you watch WrestleMania 1 through 8, you see they kind of start to get into this Golden Era mood. And then if you watch WrestleMania 8 and then you go to 9, there's a clear difference there. And it's hard to explain, but there's a clear difference. WrestleMania 9 was really kind of the first WrestleMania in the new generation era. Well, sans Hulk Hogan at the end of it. But there were a number of matches at this event. One match that actually, as far as a week ago, I didn't even know existed. It was a dark match. I don't understand why they didn't have this on the card. The only thing I can figure out is that this was like a test run match. You can find it on YouTube. It was Papa Shango versus El Matador Tito Santana. And this match went on before they actually opened the show. But the announcers are there, the camera angles are there, the whole 9 yards. It's sort of like they were just doing like a warm-up type deal. But it was a real full-blown match. Papa Shango comes out with his skull smoking. Papa Shango, obviously, the godfather. He would become to be known later on. And Tito Santana, back in the day, everybody knew who Tito Santana was. Famous for losing at WrestleMania, might I add. I think he had lost 7 straight WrestleManias at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. So, we're going to take a look at that dark match, and I'm going to tell you what happened. So, we start it. Papa Shango, he gets the advantage early, but Tito Santana avoids an attack, pulls the ropes down, that sends Papa Shango outside. By the way, Slick Vic, you've not watched this match, right?
No, I did not see this when I went back and watched this.
It's not part
match.
It's not part of the actual thing. But all right, so Papa Shango gets sent to the outside. Santana hits a high crossbody back inside the ring, but Papa Shango rolls through and pins Santana for a 2 count. Then we get some more slower pace back and forth. There's some submissions, counters before heading back outside where Papa Shango hits a body slam on Tito. Then gets back in the ring and is apparently waiting to try to get a count-out win. There's a part where Tito tries to climb back in the ring. He kicks him back down. He's wanting the ref to count him out. Papa Shango keeps the advantage for the next several minutes, except for an inside cradle counter by Santana that got a 2 count. Santana avoids a power bomb and fights back with a flurry of strikes. Then Papa Shango comes back and hits a suplex on Tito. Papa Shango goes to the top, goes for, I guess, a flying body press, but Santana moves out of the way. So Papa Shango just lands on the mat. I guess he knocks himself cold. Santana rolls him up for the 3 count win. So El Matador Tito Santana gets a win at WrestleMania finally after 7 long years, and nobody saw it because it was a dark match. Good stuff, pal. I would get your thoughts, Slick Vic, but I don't know if you have any. You didn't watch this one.
Well, I'd like to congratulate Tito for that. So
yeah, good
Arriba.
job. Yeah.
Arriba.
So now we get into the real meat and potatoes and what you all have probably saw if you saw this, and that's the actual show where, you know, traditionally at WrestleMania they sing America the Beautiful or the national anthem or something like that. None of that here. We just have Roman music. Everybody's in togas.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, the graphic at the beginning that has the WrestleMania 9 logo and everything has Vince McMahon's voice on it, and he's welcoming us to Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada for WrestleMania 9. He introduces the host, Gorilla Monsoon, and then we get the camera shot of Gorilla. He's wearing a toga, probably the coolest toga out of anybody here. It's black, red, and gold. Monsoon is talking about how much he likes the toga. I'm sure he's probably just lying because you know, why would he? But anyway, he sends us over to the newest member of the WWF announce team here on his first night with the company, Jim Ross. And everybody knows good old JR. This was his very first night with the WWF. Ross then is seen wearing a white toga with gold shoes as he gives us the night's 2 main events, the WWF title match between Bret Hart and Yokozuna, and the WWF tag title match between Money Inc. and the Mega Maniacs. So, 2 main events, they say. Ross then sends it over to Howard Finkel, but he says tonight you know him as Fincus Maximus, who introduces Caesar and Cleopatra. So 2 jabronis come out riding an elephant dressed as Caesar and Cleopatra. Fincus Maximus then introduces the Macho Man Randy Savage, announcer number 2 for the night, who comes out on a sedan. Now, this isn't a car. This is just like a big couch that they're carrying, right, in Roman times. So these Roman guards are carrying this thing that Macho Man's laying on. He's being fed grapes by bodacious Roman blondes, the whole 9 yards. Then the final member of the announce team is introduced, Bobby the Brain Heenan, who comes in riding backwards on a camel. We learn that Bobby was apparently supposed to get the sedan ride, but Macho Man beat him to it. Jim Ross then comments to Bobby, "You stink. You smell like a camel," when the Brain finally makes it ringside. So, good stuff. That intro might be the best thing about this entire show.
Lots of fun.
Lots of fun. And a pretty solid announce team for this show. You got the Macho Man there, Bobby the Brain Heenan, great as always, and Jim Ross, who would go on to probably be the best announcer ever. His first night, and he does a fantastic job. But that is the dark match and the introductions. Slick Vic, if you want to give us your thoughts, and then see what the first official match here is going to be.
Well, you know, when they showed the graphics for the 2 main event matches, Bret's smile in that picture is so awkward looking. I guarantee you, like Vince forced him to smile that way. Like, come on, pal, you're the world champion. Smile for the camera.
Yeah.
Because Bret's all like,
yeah,
it's really awkward. But you know what's hilarious is Money Inc.'s smirks in their little graphic. I don't know. I got a kick out of seeing Ted and Irwin, or Mike Rotunda, however you want to call them. they got their belts
real big.
smirk.
Yeah,
they're all smirking about it. Savage on the sedan was fun. Bobby's always funny. You know, stop this camel.
Yeah. I smell like a zoo. He falls off the back of it when he gets down and is like blue underwear showing a mile wide. And...
Macho Man like raises up his toga and like looks at the camera. All right.
Said the camel's pretty hot about it too. Actually, I didn't do that properly, ladies and gentlemen. For the first official match on the card, I'm going to send it over to Victus Maximus to give us the rundown.
Slicktus Victus.
Slicktus Victus, the third. The 15th. The 16th.
All right, so the first match is Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka. Now, Shawn Michaels is with another debuting superstar tonight, Luna Vachon. Now, I got to take a minute to say that looking at the time, I was not a fan of Luna, but I look back now, I'm like, man, Luna was so freaking metal.
Yeah,
she was great. From her outfits to the voice to the makeup, Luna was metal.
She sounded like she smoked 10 packs of Winston full flavors a day.
All right, and then Tatanka comes out, and then not long after the match starts, Sensational Sherry comes out to back up Tatanka, so to speak. I mean, is she really there to back up Tatanka, or more to just get in Shawn's face or to distract Shawn?
I think it was to distract Shawn because Sherry was with Shawn before this, right?
Yeah. Shawn was the boy toy.
Yeah.
As his theme song suggests.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a feeling out process that starts the match. Headlocks and arm drags. We got a young HBK sold so well. I mean, so did 2005 HBK, but that's a different story. Here it's just more fitting. And Tatanka looked good too. Those arm drags were pretty smooth. And he was like the only one who would throw those overhead punches that JR would call chops. But I swear Tatanka, he would use like a closed fist when he would do those punches. You know what I'm talking about? He would like...
Yeah, like a club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shawn takes a corner post, shoulder first, but then hits a crescent kick. Not quite the sweet chin music yet. It's still the crescent kick. Off an airborne Tatanka, which looked really good. Big flying clothesline by Shawn off the apron. Tatanka eventually starts the warpath, which is like the Native American dance thing. You know, the skipping around
hulking
the ring.
Up.
Yeah, that's his way of hulking up. He hits some chops and a top rope crossbody for two, and then he reverses a splash from Shawn into a power slam. Shawn misses a big splash and hits the steps, and then he gets up, but he hits the ref. Tatanka hits his finish, but the ref calls for the bell and DQs Shawn Michaels. Post-match, Luna beats up Sherry. All right, so the last third of this match was really good. It got really good. But that ending felt a little flat. The crowd was really behind Tatanka. Decent match here. I would have maybe trimmed it a little bit because there was a lot of rest holds going on. But still a decent match. I think it's this and the next match I think are my two favorite matches of the show. What did you think of the official opening match of WrestleMania IX?
I thought it was cool. It's like you mentioned earlier, you know, there's something about younger Shawn Michaels that's just different to watch him in that. Maybe it was all the drugs, I don't know, but there's something different going on that separates him from the 2005, 2002, whenever he came back later on. And Tatanka, I was always a fan of Tatanka. You know, I didn't grow up watching him, but in retrospect, every match that he had I thought was cool. I thought that the hulking up thing was a little bit weird because it was just straight ripped off of Hulk Hogan. Like, you know, but I'm sure Hulk Hogan ripped it off somebody else, so I guess that doesn't matter. And then Sherry getting involved in this. Always good to see Sherry. She's going to get her ass kicked throughout the entire night, actually. And we get updates from JR every now and again that's like, yeah, well, Sherry just got her ass kicked in the back and she's doing bad. It's like, so, but yeah, Intercontinental Championship on the line for the opening match. Good stuff. Liked it.
So next we have the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, versus the Head Shrinkers, Samu and Fatu. Now before this, we get a Steiner brothers promo, but no math, unfortunately. Just Rick saying that they're going to make Julius Caesar proud. And JR says it's going to be a slobber knocker, which Bobby Heenan says, I thought that's what they called the waitress at the Tip Top Cafe in downtown Tulsa. Anyways, Scott hits a big double leg takedown at the start, and they start wailing on each other. He hits it on, I don't have which head shrinker he hit it on, but nonetheless, it looked good. Both Steiner brothers then came off the top rope at the same time with clotheslines. That was fun. Scott hits his trademark double underhook suplex very smoothly for, a giant Samoan he hit it on. He didn't do his little, taunt that he does whenever he hits it, but
yeah.
Anyways, but then he takes a nasty fall over the top rope. Looked like he might have landed on his head. The camera didn't quite catch it, but man, that looked scary. The heels take over for a while, and each taking turns beating on Scott, and they beat him up for a while. Eventually, Rick does get the hot tag to wake up the crowd. He gets a little bit of offense in, but then he tries to double nogger the head shrinkers when that ends very poorly for Rick. However, they position Rick up like they're going to hit like a Doomsday Device move, but then Rick hits a impressive looking power slam while on top of Samu's shoulders. Fantastic. Scott then comes in, hits the Frankenstein, or at least part of it, for the win. Now, my thoughts of this are kind of the same as the last match. This was good. I thought it would have been great if they didn't spend too much time on Scott just getting beat up for a long time. But this was some hard hitting power match, and with 4 big dudes that can go.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good technical wrestling by the Steiners there, and I know that everybody knows Scott Steiner from his later days, Big Papa Pump days, when he changed his whole gimmick in WCW. But there was something special about Scott Steiner when he was in this earlier gimmick of just this collegiate wrestler with a mullet. And he could absolutely go. I mean, he could do crazy stuff in the ring that was just, luchador-esque, but a big bodybuilder-looking, guy. Not on the juice just yet. Maybe he was, but he wasn't completely veined out or anything yet. But he was still pretty massive. So yeah, I got to say this was probably the best match of the night, as far as in-ring work goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really good. Up next is a match that wasn't one of the best matches of the night. Maybe fairly entertaining though. Was Doink versus Crush. Doink the Clown versus Crush. And backstage, Doink is doing an interview with Mean Gene. He's apparently... See, Mean Gene is backstage with this whole setup. There's a statue of Julius Caesar back there, and Doink has, put a Doink mask on the Caesar statue. And we get a replay of what led to this match, which I always think is nice, because I don't know what the hell's going on to cause all this. Right. But... apparently, in weeks prior, there was a situation where Doink and Crush were having a fight, or a match, and Doink had a fake arm on, and Doink pulls the fake arm off and beats Crush down with it. So the fake arm is going to come into play again, but that's the gist of it. They had a little bit of a scuffle, led to this match at WrestleMania. So we get to the match, and Crush starts beating down Doink on the outside, rolls him in the ring, keeps the offense on. Doink rolls to the outside. I should say, when I say Crush starts beating down Doink on the outside, this is I don't even know if the bell had rang or the bell rang at some random moment, but they're instantly fighting on the outside. Then Doink rolls to the outside and gets some shots in that doesn't seem to faze Crush at all. Back in the ring, Crush keeps pouring it on Doink. He hits a nice neck breaker and a back breaker. Doink finally gets some meaningful offense after countering Crush's own Beats of the Bowerin move. I don't know what they called it then, probably nothing, but that's what he was doing. By doing a neck breaker move across the ropes. Doink hits a few shots to the back of Crush's head, coming off the middle turnbuckles, and then hits a pile driver to take Crush down. Doink goes for a move off the top turnbuckle, but Crush gets a foot up and turns the tides in his favor. He then hits a power slam. He clotheslines Doink over the top rope. Doink tries to go under the ring, but Crush pulls him back out, rolls him back in the ring, hits a military press, and then he starts trying to do, I don't know what the name of this is, Slick Vic, maybe you can help me, but he's got a submission where he just squeezes their head. And
I forgot the name of it, but yeah.
That's his submission. Maybe that's his finisher. He just squeezes their head like a melon. And where are we at? But Doink gets to the ropes to break it, and it knocks out the referee in the process. Then Crush gets the head squeeze fully on, but the ref is still down. And a second Doink comes out with the fake arm from the segment we mentioned earlier and knocks Crush out cold with it. Doink gets the pin. The ref revives enough to count the 3, and Doink the Clown wins this one by way of help from a second Doink, or was it an illusion? Bobby the Brain Heenan would tell you it was just an illusion. What were your thoughts on this fiasco, Slick Vic?
I've always liked heel Doink's theme music. It's very horror movie-esque.
Yeah.
And him, like, cackling in the background, too. And Crush's mullet is very majestic. But at the very beginning of the match, when, like just as Doink is going to get in the ring, he, sprays Crush with his flour, and Crush gets out of the ring, and, they're running around the ring like circles. It's freaking hilarious.
Oh, man.
I went back and watched that bit 3 times because it's just it's like a cartoon. It's so freaking hilarious. But that's really it, man. The only other thing to mention is the finish. The finish is pretty memorable because nothing else about this match is memorable. But it's funny though, Doink hitting a pile driver on Crush, who's like twice his size, is a little jarring.
Well, Doink was, the gimmick was silly, but the guy under the mask, if you will, was a friggin' awesome wrestler, really.
Yeah, Matt Bourne was his name.
Yeah.
And but the finish, I don't want to say it's iconic, but I think a lot of people know it with the 2 Doinks, and
yeah, they're doing the mimic pose and stuff.
Yeah. And then the referee comes to check under the ring, and there's no other Doink. But yeah,
was it an illusion or was it a second Doink? Have you figured it out yet, Slick Vic?
I'm gonna lean towards the illusion because they never found the other Doink. So
I mean, I didn't see another Doink under the ring either. Maybe we'll have to ask the crystal ball and see what the crystal ball has to say about this.
But not a great match, but it's a memorable one.
Yeah. If not just for that visual of the 2 Doinks, for sure.
Yes.
The next match on the card is probably the worst match on the card. Razor Ramon versus Bob Backlund. Now, I mentioned and talked about the dark match from earlier. I would have rather the dark match been in this spot. I mean, it's cool seeing Razor, but this match was just trash. Backlund comes out and he has no music because it's Bob Backlund, right? And we learn that this is his very first WrestleMania. All right. So they start the match, they tie up, but Razor just keeps throwing Backlund into the turnbuckles off of the tie-up. Backlund then returns the favor, sending Razor into the turnbuckle, and then following up with a couple leg sweeps. I just want to say real quick, Bob Backlund sucks. All right? I don't know what the point... He is... When people talk about him, it's like Bob Backlund. Bobby, he was a wrestler for a long time, but everything he does looks so silly. Or is this just a weird time period for him?
No, that's exactly what I have here. I'm like, Bob Backlund in the 90s looks so odd.
He's doing stuff. He's doing these leg sweeps and these big giant sweeps that is just not doing anything. And I mean, it even, comes up after the sweeps. Razor gets in some more strikes on Backlund, hits a body slam, and then he keeps stomping him while he's on the ground. But then when Backlund gets some more offense and starts firing back, he hits some really stupid, shitty-looking hip tosses where he doesn't even he's just you can tell that Razor's just flipping for him. And Backlund's barely hooking his arm for the toss. and a drop kick from Backlund that lands about a foot or two short, but Razor sells it anyway. Backlund keeps on the offense with a double underhook suplex. That was nice, followed by an atomic drop. That was okay. But Razor counters a body slam attempt into an inside cradle pin for the 3 count. And that's your match, and that's your winner, Razor Ramon, with an inside cradle. Popcorn fart. That's what that match was.
If I have one positive thing to say about this, and the only positive thing is I liked when at the very beginning of the match, Bob extends his hand for a handshake and Razor throws the toothpick at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, when Bob came back in the 90s, I didn't watch Bob's original run from the 70s and early 80s. But seeing Bob in the 90s is just so odd. And when he turned heel, though, there was, a couple of funny moments, but yeah.
When he turned heel, he was crazy, and it was sort of entertaining that he was just so over the top and crazy. But here, it's almost like he's being over the top and almost cartoonish to an extent. Maybe because that's the way he saw the business at this point. Maybe he thought he had to be that, and that's just how it came across. I mean, I'm assuming that when wrestling was different and it was more, I guess, shoot-looking, maybe he was better then, because I think he was a legitimate, wrestler before he got into pro wrestling. So it's not like when I say he sucks, I don't mean that he just flat-out sucks. I mean, this sucked, and anything that I've seen of his in the 90s was just stupid and over the top. Yeah. So,
yeah. The match is very short. Mercifully very short.
I wanted to at least see the Razor's Edge. Why couldn't he have Razor's Edged him and pinned him? That would have been better. Fucking cradle pin at WrestleMania? Come on.
I read the other day that Bret Hart always refused taking the Razor's Edge. Maybe Bob did too. Anyways, match is short, sucked, and completely forgettable. Next. That's what I got. Unless you've got more to add, I just think it sucked.
That's it. No, it was a lame match, and I wasn't expecting much out of it. But I would have at least rather saw Razor just beat the shit out of him and give him the Razor's Edge and pin him.
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. If Bob Backlund had got zero offense in this match, it would have been better.
I think we've talked about this match longer than the actual match was.
Yeah, for sure. It would have been over twice by now. All right, Slick Vic, I think you got the next one here.
I do. We have, which is advertised as one of the main events, Money Inc. versus the Mega Maniacs. So Money Inc. is Ted DiBiase and IRS versus Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. So prior to the match, Money Inc. cuts a promo where IRS calls them the Mega Morons. They also mentioned that Hulk Hogan was in an accident coming out of the gym last night, because when we see Hogan today, he's very famously got a huge, nasty-looking black eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's all these rumors and stories. Let's pause for just a minute. Have you heard the rumors about that?
I heard them at one point in time, but I don't specifically remember any of them. I heard that maybe it was Macho Man that punched him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the big one. Is Macho Man punched him in the face?
Well, he punched the shit out of him because his whole eyeball is black.
Yeah. But then I think it had also something to do with the jet ski accident too.
That was the story. I think that was the story that Hogan gave, the real account of what happened. But they still think that somebody just punched him and he didn't want to admit it.
Because they're very vague on he got into an accident at the gym. Well, what did he do? Did he drop a dumbbell in his eye?
Yeah.
We don't know. And Beefcake is wearing the protective mask over his face due to Money Inc. hitting him in the face with the briefcase on the previous Raw I don't know if it was a couple weeks ago or not. I don't remember, but Real American hits, and there is a huge pop as the Mega Maniacs come out. The heels try to jump the baby faces, but they get dumped out of the ring while the music is still playing. So Hogan starts to,
Yeah.
Beefcake starts and gets beaten until Ted DiBiase hits his mask, which allows Beefcake to take advantage. He tags in Hogan to a huge pop, and he goes to town. Hogan hits a second rope axe handle, which is something you don't see often. And then the heels try to leave, but Finkus Maximus says if they don't come back by the count of 10, they will lose the tag titles. Savage at this point says they're hanging from the rafters, but just no rafters there, pal. Rafters there, pal. So anyways, Ted locks in the $1 Million Dream on Hogan for what feels like an eternity. Beefcake sneaks in and locks in a sleeper on Ted behind the ref's back. The ref then takes a few steps back and then trips on Ted's prone body, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And then Beefcake comes in, and now it's his turn to sell for a long time. And then they eventually take his mask off and start beating on his face. Hulk finally gets the hot tag. The ref takes another bump. Hulk uses Beefcake's mask to beat up the heels. And then Jimmy Hart reverses his jacket to reveal like referee stripes, and then makes the count. The Megamaniacs celebrate with the belts, but another referee comes out and disqualifies the Megamaniacs. All right, so the crowd really helped this match because this is long, and both babyfaces just got locked in long, lengthy rest holds by the heels for the majority of the match.
There it is.
And the ending with Jimmy Hart was, I think that was kind of dumb. That's stupid. I don't think it's terrible. I know a lot of people really, really hate this match, but it's not good, but it's not terrible. Post match, Hogan must pose, which again goes on for forever. Yeah. And then they open the briefcase and throw money. So yeah, it's a common theme here. This just went on way too freaking long, and it was not that exciting. But I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I didn't think that. Well, like you said, the crowd popped hard for Hogan when he came out. Popped whenever he got tagged in. Obviously, they'd missed him. I think Hogan had been gone since WrestleMania 8, or roughly around WrestleMania 8. So he'd been gone for a while, filming a movie or something. I don't remember exactly what he was doing, and then here he was, and he's back at WrestleMania. He's not in the main event. He's not involved in the world title, at least at this point. And he's teaming with a good buddy of his, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You would think that it would have just been a better match. And it just kind of wasn't. I didn't like the mask that Beefcake was wearing. I thought that looked silly. And, but other than that, I mean, I think it was okay. Ted DiBiase, I always like seeing him wrestle. The thing with Jimmy Hart at the end, with the ref shirt, it's like you said, it was kind of silly, but I think it was intended to come off to get a little more of a reaction. And then they reversed the decision. What exactly, remind me here, but they disqualified the Megamaniacs in this, right? Hogan
yes.
All right, so Hogan and Beefcake get disqualified. For what?
Well, Hogan uses the mask to beat up the heels with him. That's like the last thing we see was Hogan using the mask to beat up the heels. And then like another referee comes out and calls the match off.
The heels used the briefcase to hit Beefcake in the back, right?
Yeah, but they're heels. The ref, they get away with it.
So you would think that, but I don't know. I just thought it was weird that it was a disqualification and not a no contest or continue the match. The ending was flat for me. The ending was flat. But other than that, I thought it was okay. It wasn't great. It's not something that like, hey, go watch a good Hulk Hogan match. This ain't it.
Now, before I move on to the next match, do you notice a theme going on with a lot of these finishes? Because it continues on the rest of the night where the ref either disqualifies the baby faces or the ref it's either disqualification finish or the ref doesn't see the. You'll find out.
Doesn't see the shenanigans.
Yes,
going on.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we got Lex Luger versus Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect. Did you say Mr. Perfect?
I did say Mr. Perfect.
I thought you said Mr. Perfect, and for that, I'm going to have to scroll up here and find
the perfect track.
The perfect track. those SNES themes. Sounds like it's playing out of a Campbell's soup can. Quick question, Slick Vic. Hey, did you notice that the theme for WrestleMania IX sounds awfully similar to that?
No, I did not catch that.
All right, you need to check out the WrestleMania IX, the Roman theme that's playing at the beginning. It's not the same song, but it's got that sort of that same hook in it. It sounds a lot like Mr. Perfect's music. But anyway, continue, sir.
So, Mr. Perfect cuts a promo beforehand, and he says he's feeling great. He hit a hole-in-one earlier today, and then they mentioned that Luger hit Bret Hart earlier in the day with his forearm, and then Mr. Perfect can't pronounce the narcissist. But anyways, Lex Luger comes out with 4 bodacious blondes himself. Maybe they were not all blonde, but
yeah,
four bodacious ones who hold mirrors with sparklers as Lex poses. So we got back-to-back posing in matches today. Lengthy posing. Perfect out-wrestles Lex to start the match, and he looks perfect. Seriously, he moves great. Lex eventually gets a few shots in, and Perfect flops around. Lex, to me, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on Lex, but Lex to me was never one of my favorites. He moved very awkwardly in the ring, and his punches always looked really funny and comical. Like he would do this jump with his punches, and and he'd also bump awkwardly. Perfect gets a lot of offense in, and then the match just ends with a backslide by Lex while Perfect has his legs on the ropes, but the ref doesn't see it. This has been a common thing tonight, but anyway, as I mentioned that earlier, the finish is that's the finish of the match. Because post-match, Lex hits Perfect with the forearm. Perfect eventually wakes up and chases Lex to the back where Shawn Michaels is there, and they team up to beat up Mr. Perfect. What say you, Mr. Mosley?
Yeah, so the end of that match, I have watched WrestleMania IX a couple of times before this, but I honestly did not remember that happening, them going out to the back where there's like a garage and they beat the shit out of Mr. Perfect back there. The end of that match was probably more exciting than the match itself, except for the fact that Mr. Perfect is perfect and everything he does is awesome to watch. But yeah, you mentioned you wanted to hear what I think about Lex Luger, and when I was a kid, I have vague memories of Lex Luger, and I thought he was fucking awesome. He was like a superhero. He was a fucking gladiator. But he moves stiff. He looks like he moves like he looks he would move, really. Because he's just a solid...
He's a big dude. He looks great.
Looks big dude, muscles, super solid, but that's how he moves. He doesn't move fluidly. He moves very stiff. Yeah. And he was never really that great in the ring. And I think that's probably what you're just kind of said in a roundabout way. Yeah. He just wasn't... He's in there with Mr. Perfect, too. I mean, that's a dynamic that you just... Mr. Perfect can have a good match with just about anybody, but it's going to be him wrestling himself in a lot of those cases. Unless he's in there with like a Bret Hart, and then you get an absolute masterpiece of technical wrestling, but I think that was the problem here. The level of athleticism, the level of technical wrestling expertise was not in Lex Luger's favor. But I always liked him as a kid. I thought the torture rack was cool as shit. So I don't know what his finishing move was during this time.
It was the forearm.
The forearm, yeah, well, that's lame too. This was heel Lex Luger as the narcissist, so this was pre-patriotic, which he would soon become, but not quite there yet.
Yeah. A couple months later, the Lex Express would be born.
There you go. So yeah, this was, like I said, it could have been a better match if Perfect had been in there with anyone else.
Yeah. I do remember, before you move on, I do remember a story that Lex told on a shoot interview very recently where he was really looking forward to this match, but I think Perfect showed up intoxicated or hungover or something, and yeah.
So he blames it on Mr. Perfect. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. The next match is one of the more memorable matches from this entire event, I think, and that's The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez in his big naked hairy man suit. So The Undertaker with Paul Bearer comes down to the ring on a cool-ass chariot with a friggin' vulture up on it. Those are one of my favorite entrances ever. And the smoke, the green smoke is flowing everywhere, and it's cool. And then Giant Gonzalez just looks like an idiot. I mean, he's huge, he's impressive, he's a massive human being. Like, you talk about Andre the Giant being this seventh wonder of the world, or eighth wonder of the world, the eighth wonder of the world, I'm sorry. But I think if you had stood Giant Gonzalez up next to him, Giant Gonzalez was just he really was a giant person. He was just huge. So we get into the match. Gonzalez, he's hitting the forearms to the back of the head of Undertaker. And we've heard Undertaker talk about this before, how he tried to tell him, don't really hit me, you don't got to do it. And he's clubbing the shit out of him. Eventually, Taker fires back with some chops to Giant Gonzalez's throat. Gonzalez grabs Taker and backs him across the ring into the turnbuckle, but Taker stands up on the second rope and chokes Gonzalez. Taker hits some kicks to Gonzalez in the corner. Gonzalez comes out with a big boot, then slings Taker across the ring. They call that a Beal on the show. Basically just picks him up and heaves him across the ring. Gonzalez puts a reverse chinlock on the Undertaker, and Taker goes down, but Paul Bearer holds up the urn and seemingly gives the Undertaker the power to get back up and break loose of the hold. The two go outside, and Gonzalez dominates Taker outside the ring, slamming and throwing him into the steel steps. Paul Bearer once again uses the urn to get the Undertaker back up. The two are in the ring now, with Gonzalez delivering huge headbutts to the Undertaker, but the Undertaker starts firing back with a ton of strikes that eventually gets Gonzalez down to a knee. Harvey Whippleman, the guy that came out with Giant Gonzalez that probably nobody remembers because, hell, I didn't before I watched this. Harvey Whippleman hops up on the ring apron. Bearer does too and gets knocked down by Gonzalez. Whippleman apparently has passed a rag with something on it to Gonzalez that he uses to put across the Undertaker's face, rendering him unconscious and also causing a blatant disqualification, and that something on the rag was chloroform. And the announcers are saying how bad it smells out there. And Macho Man's like, I think it's chlor, and JR's like, chloroform. So yeah, that was a weird spot. But anyway, disqualification. This is considered, Taker had all of these wins at WrestleMania. This is one of the weird ones because it wasn't like a decisive win. He got taken out. I mean, after the match, they bring a stretcher down to the ring and stretcher his ass to the back because he's down. Chloroform or not, they found a way to knock the Undertaker out cold. But then, the Undertaker comes back through the curtain as we hear a gong, and he starts firing up. He comes down to the ring, starts firing off on the Giant Gonzalez and delivers several clotheslines, eventually knocking the Giant down and out of the ring. Paul Bearer holds the Undertaker back from going after Gonzalez, and we have the official announcement: winner as a result of a disqualification, The Undertaker. Now, this was long before the streak was ever even a thing. Obviously, I think that Undertaker had only had, one other WrestleMania match at this point, maybe two, 7 and 8. But this is one of them. So, Slick Vic, what do you think about this?
Well, like you, I loved Undertaker's entrance with the Vulture. The Giant Gonzalez's outfit is atrocious. I mentioned how Lex Luger moves awkwardly. He looks like Shawn Michaels next to Giant Gonzalez.
Giant Gonzalez sells so ridiculously over the top. Like when he gets hit, he looks like a cartoon character that's got bad. Smacked with some. Yeah.
I remember him being awful as a little slickster, and he's just as bad, if not worse now. And there's nothing to see here except Taker's entrance. It's universal. I think it's universally considered Taker's worst WrestleMania match.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Yeah, if you actually mentioned this earlier, and for people listening, if you get a chance, look up Undertaker talking about working with Giant Gonzalez because it's funny.
Yeah, it answers a lot of questions as to why this whole thing looks so weird. He'll tell you. Just look it up.
And now we are on. We are. This. I guess this is the main event now, right?
This is the main event. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's not the last match of the night, but it's the advertised main event. It's Yokozuna challenging Bret the Hitman Hart for the WWE or WWF Heavyweight Championship at the time.
Yeah.
Also, Hulk Hogan cuts a promo prior to the match saying, all the Hulkamaniacs are in Bret Hart's corner tonight, brother, and he wants the next shot.
Yeah.
This feud is always funny to me. They didn't do it. They didn't do it tonight, but there would be times when Bret would fight Yoko, and the crowd would chant USA, and Bret's from Canada.
Yeah.
So.
And Yoko isn't even really Japanese.
No. So the match is short and simple. Bret gets a flurry of offense, but then Yoko cuts him off and takes over until Yoko misses a big move, which allows Bret to get a few shots in. Rinse and repeat. That's it. Not really much to say about that. After about 8 minutes of that, Bret locks in a sharpshooter, but Mr. Fuji throws salt in Bret's eyes. Yoko rolls him up for the pin and wins the title. Like the previous match, this has probably got to be Bret Hart's worst WrestleMania match. I will say this, though. Yokozuna moves a lot better than Giant Gonzalez.
Oh, man. you can't compare Yoko to the Giant Gonzalez now.
Come on, Yoko is way better than Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
Maybe not here. Maybe this isn't a good example, but Yoko was incredible in the ring.
And that's it. We have a new world heavyweight champion in Yokozuna. But wait, Mosley, what happens after this?
Here comes that dastardly Hulk Hogan to steal the spotlight. So after the match, Hogan comes down to the ring. He's helping Bret Hart out. Bret's blinded. And Mr. Fuji grabs the mic and issues a challenge right now to Hulk Hogan. And Hogan initially seems more worried about helping Bret Hart until Fuji mentions that Yokozuna will put the world title on the line. So, with Bret Hart's blessing, I guess, and telling him to get back in the ring, the Hulkster gets back in the ring. There's never a bell rang here, but apparently this is considered official match. Yokozuna grabs Hogan's arms from behind and holds him still while Fuji loads up more salt to throw in Hogan's face. But when Fuji launches the salt, Hogan moves out of the way and it hits Yoko in the face. Hogan hits the ropes and takes down Yokozuna with a clothesline, then follows up with the big leg drop, hooks the leg, and wins the WWF Championship. So Yokozuna was champion for all of about a minute and a half, and then here comes Hulk Hogan. I gotta say, Hogan was a very big heel on this night. I look at this, when I watched it back, Slick Vic, if you know the inside story, first of all, Hogan pitched this idea himself. Like, hey, brother, maybe I should come out and beat Yokozuna for the title. And that was all Hogan's idea. Everybody looks at it as a shitty idea, but I will say this, Slick Vic. If you watch WrestleMania IX, when Hogan came out, accepted the challenge, won the belt, the crowd lost their minds.
Yeah.
They popped huge. So that was a great decision at the time. But looking back on it, everybody hates that this happened. So I don't know. Which way do you go here, Slick Vic? Was it a good decision? Was it not a good decision? I mean, Hogan would drop the belt back to Yoko, what, a month later? Maybe not even?
It was King of the Ring, so it's about 3 months later, yeah.
Yeah, 3 months later. And then, of course, Hogan would... This was it. This was all we saw of Hogan in WWF for a long time. He went to WCW. So, in hindsight, not a great decision. But at the time, if you were there in 1993 and Hogan had came back after a year, the guy who put the WWF and WrestleMania on the map, jumped in the ring, hit the leg drop, won the title, the people went crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Vince usually liked to send the crowd home happy. And you're not going to do that by having Yoko celebrate with the title. You have Hulk Hogan celebrate with the title. But yeah, in hindsight, it's not the best creative decision at all, especially because Hulk was gone the next 3 months until King of the Ring when he came to drop it to Yoko. So you got Brett just holding the bag, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then and Yoko too. Like, why would Yoko want to defend the world title right after winning it? After having a fight with a battle with Brett, just to say, "Hey, Hulk, you want to fight now? I'll put." Actually, Fuji's saying that while Yoko's gassed.
Yeah, Yoko can't breathe over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it was just so he could assert his dominance as the new champion, and he just beat Brett, and he became the champion, and he'll beat Hulk Hogan, he'll beat anybody. So I kind of see that, but. Yeah, in hindsight, not a great decision, but like you said, left the fans happy. Everybody was happy.
There's no denying that they were cheering. There's no denying that, but yeah, like in a time capsule makes sense, but in the long run, it was kind of dumb. And you hear all these people talk about it too. It was not the best decision.
Yeah, and of course we get another several minutes of Hogan posing in the ring for the second time tonight. But that's it. And then the show is off, and we have WrestleMania 9, the great WrestleMania 9 in the bag. To summarize here, Slick Vic, I just got to say, I don't hate this WrestleMania. I'm not going to say that it's the worst. It's definitely not the best. But I would not say that this is the worst WrestleMania.
No.
I think that it's got some really good moments. It's got maybe a couple of really good matches. A lot of stars on this card. You have the unique theme of the Roman Coliseum, everybody in togas. You see what they were going for, whether they hit it or not. Questionable, but it was an interesting project. First WrestleMania of the New Generation era. Yokozuna winning the championship. And then the ending with Hulk Hogan. I mean, it's infamous now. So I don't think this is the worst WrestleMania by a long stretch. And I think that, it's kind of like Zelda 2. A lot of people give it a lot of shit. But I think if you were to give it a second watch, you would find a couple of things that you like. Slick Vic, what's your analysis overall of WrestleMania 9? And I'm interested to know, did you watch this back in the day? Was this prior to your getting into... This wasn't prior to your getting into WrestleMania or WWF. This was probably right around the time that you did, I would say.
This is literally right around the time I started watching.
So what was your take then, and what is your take now?
Well, I just remember, I didn't watch it live. I just remember like the day after, everyone's like, "Hey, did you hear? Hogan's the world champion." I'm like, "How? He wasn't in the match." And I had to read about it or go watch the replay on Raw the next night, because Monday Night Raw was happening at the time. And yeah, I was shocked. I was like, wow, Hogan somehow ended up in the match, and he's the champion. My feelings for it at the time, I mean, I was a Hulkster, so I was fine with it. I'm not gonna lie though, when I hear Brett talk about it, I'm like, man, Hogan really like used his political influence to get what he wanted.
Yeah.
Let's see. But now when I watch it, I'm like, okay, the first two matches are pretty good. But like I said earlier, like every match is either a DQ finish or the ref doesn't see the heels shenanigans. Look at this match. The ref doesn't see the salt in the eyes. The previous match is a DQ with Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez. The ref doesn't see Luger or Mr. Perfect's legs on the ropes. The Money Inc. match and Mega Maniac's a disqualification. The only clean finish was Razor and Backlund. That match was probably the worst match of the night.
Those are the shits.
Yeah. I mean, Doink and Crush. Yeah, there was shenanigans that the ref didn't see. Yeah. The Steiner brothers was a clean finish. And then Shawn Michaels and Tatanka, again, the disqualification finish. Got a lot of flat finishes, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is true. It definitely has a lot of flat finishes. I think that I look at it for its uniqueness, though, and also, like I said, being that first new generation WrestleMania, as reasons why I kind of like it. It's sort of like the black sheep that most people hate, but I try to find things that are good about it. And like I said, I like the aesthetic. I like the Roman Coliseum deal that they tried to do, and it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
I gotta 100% agree with you on the aesthetic. The outdoor look of it, the Roman Coliseum look, fantastic, good stuff. There's a documentary on Peacock which I have yet to get around to watching. It's like they call it. I think it's called The Making of WrestleMania IX. Have you seen or heard it?
Yes, I have actually watched it. I need to watch it again because there's not a whole lot I remember about it. But one thing I do remember is that they show in some behind-the-scenes stuff, Nick Khan was there. I think he was a staff member with the WWF at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah,
he was involved way back then, huh?
Way back then, he was involved. I think he was just, like I said, just a regular staff member at the time. But yeah, young Nick Khan. So yeah, definitely go and check that out, everybody. And I'll have to check it out again, especially after doing this retro review.
For sure, I gotta watch it for the first time.
All right, awesome. We'll figure all that out. We'll give it a watch, maybe talk about it on the next episode. But that's just about it here at Wrestling with Power. That is our retro review WrestleMania 9. Make sure you let us know if you liked it, if you want to see any more. Here in just under 2 weeks, just about a week and a half, we're going to be watching WrestleMania 42. And I can't wait. I'm excited. It's going to be a pretty full week for us here at Wrestling with Power, obviously, with SmackDown, the Hall of Fame going on, WrestleMania 2 nights, Raw. A lot's going to be happening in the next couple weeks. But next week, we're going to be having Slick Vic's picks come back. And I've prepared a graphic. And also, I've prepared a graphic of Slick Vic's picks. We're going to look at that next week when we actually get the picks. But for now, as revealed this morning, the full WrestleMania card is revealed. And we'll flip over to that here if you're watching with us live on Facebook. WrestleMania Vegas, WrestleMania 42, Saturday. The card consists of the undisputed WWE title match of Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Pat McAfee's going to be in his corner. The Women's World Championship, Stephanie Vaquer, the champion, and challenger Liv Morgan. We're going to have Seth Rollins versus Gunther. The Women's Intercontinental, I about said IC, and then I corrected myself because Intercontinental sounds cooler. Championship, AJ Lee, the champion, versus Becky Lynch. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way, Nia Jax/Legend, the champions, versus Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, versus Bayley and Lyra, versus the Bella Twins. The unsanctioned match between Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre, and the six-man tag team match of Logan Paul and Austin Theory with Show Speed versus the Usos and LA Knight. That is all on WrestleMania Saturday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches. If my Steiner math is correct here, Slick Vic. And then, of course, on Sunday, the other matches. The World Heavyweight Championship, which will likely be the main event. CM Punk, champion, versus Roman Reigns. WWE Women's Championship, Jade Cargill, the champion, versus Rhea Ripley. The Demon Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. The United States Championship, Sami Zayn, the champion, versus Trick Williams. Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar. And the Intercontinental Championship six-way ladder match, Penta, the champion, versus Javon Evans versus Dragon Lee. JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. Also saw, Slick Vic, that the 2 matches that I listed last are going to be free. The first 2 matches are going to be free on ESPN, I believe. So, cool. We like free stuff here at Wrestling with Power, even though I pay for that shit every month. Slick Vic, are you excited for some WrestleMania?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have your picks already figured out?
Not completely. I was actually looking through that as I was I was, contemplating those in my mind as you were reading through the matches, but so I've got a general idea. Now that we know we actually have the matches, like we know which matches on which night, it makes it a little easier for me to decide. Hopefully.
Well, Slick Vic's over there taking all things into consideration, but the most important thing is the crystal ball, and I know it's charging up back there. It's ready to go. We're going to find out, ladies and gentlemen, next week what Slick Vic's picks are. And I'll tell you what, Slick Vic, for this occasion, for WrestleMania, I will also come up with some picks over the next week. I don't have a crystal ball, though. I'm going to have to find a crystal ball within the next week, or how am I going to compete? I don't have anything.
I mean, let's see. You can't have another crystal ball. That's my gimmick. You got to have something different.
I can't steal your gimmick?
No. You got to have like a... God, what else was there? Was there anything else in Zelda that's...
I mean...
fortune tellery?
I have the Triforce.
I mean, that could work. Is it the Triforce of Wisdom?
It's the entire Triforce, actually.
Okay.
I have a globe. No, that's not going to do it? Okay. I'll figure something out. I'll have something next week to challenge your crystal ball, sir. And okay. I'll throw out some picks myself, but let's go ahead and hit the bell. You know what that means. It's time to get out of here. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow us here on Facebook, facebook.com/wrestlingwithpower. We're live every Tuesday. And also during the WrestleMania week, like I said, it's going to be full of stuff. So we're actually going to be doing the episode in parts, and then we're going to piece it all together real nice for you. So I think the plan right now is Sunday, sometime during the day on Sunday, we're going to come on here and we're going to do SmackDown and not one of WrestleMania. And then we'll be back on Tuesday at the regular scheduled time to do Night 2 of WrestleMania and Raw. Of course, over on YouTube, youtube.com/@wrestlingwithpower, you can see all of our episodes and watch along. And then on Spotify, just search up Wrestling with Power. You'll find us there where we have all of our episodes going back to the very first. Everybody, stay powerful.
And I want to wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Yeah!